around the former president, and that is conservative activist Laura Loomer. She's been called a fringe conspiracy theorist because she called 9/11 an inside job, but Trump says he wants to keep her around. He posted on Truth Social, quote, "Loomer doesn't work for the campaign. She's a private citizen and longtime supporter. I disagree with the statements that she's made, but like millions of people who support me, she's tired of watching the radical left Marxists and fascists violently attack and smear me." We'll look to see if Loomer continues to show up with Trump on the trail. He is going to be back in battleground states later on this week.
Despite her claims about 9/11 potentially being an inside job, Loomer appeared alongside the former president at 9/11 memorial events earlier this month, both in New York and Pennsylvania. New Real Clear Politics polls and Fox News power rankings show the gap between Vice President Harris and former President Trump narrowing in critical swing states. North Carolina Representative Wiley Nickel on Fox News Live.
We built that coalition of pro-democracy Republicans and pro-choice Republicans. Those are the folks who are going to make the decision in North Carolina in a very, very close race. And for the Republicans, out there who align with Dick Cheney and Mike Pence, who want nothing to do with Trump, there's a place for them in this election with the Democratic Party.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney and his daughter, former Representative Liz Cheney, have endorsed Vice President Harris. At least 15 are dead, 40 others seriously injured in Haiti after a tanker truck full of gasoline flipped and exploded. The Prime Minister posting the news on X, local radio reporting 17 dead. Fighting between gangs making importing supplies difficult, leaving hospitals poorly equipped. America's listening to Fox News.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peterson, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on foxnews.com. And get the podcast 5 days a week at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
The leaders of the U.S.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's in the finals. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. A Terre Haute man has advanced to the finals of America's Got Talent. After middle school custodian Richard Goodall auditioned with Don't Stop Believin', Judge Simon Cowell said,
"Richard, you are my hero." Because that was special.
The AGT Finals performances will air Tuesday on NBC, with the winner being named on September 24th. Speaking of performers, two famous brothers and Southern rock legends are teaming up for their first ever Christian rock album. Always Look Up is the forthcoming album by Van Zandt, which is made up of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Johnny Van Zandt and 38 Special's Donnie Van Zandt. Johnny Van Zandt said in a statement that he always believed in Jesus, but he wasn't saved. He said they were inspired by their father. The 11-song album is set for a November 22nd release and is available for pre-order through various platforms. But the Indiana Fever fell to the Las Vegas Aces 74-78 Friday night, even though rookie Caitlin Clark broke the WNBA record for most season assists during quarter two.
Clark, Boston screen, fire away, hits a three.
You're hearing a game clip taken from the Indiana Fever Twitter page. During Friday's game, Clark also received her 6th technical foul after hitting a stanchion, meaning another such foul will land her a one-game suspension. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly clear, low temperatures in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. Once again, high temperatures climbing in the mid to upper 80s. A prolonged dry stretch is likely. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Have you lost Indiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Over the last few years, things have got weird.
And for our kids, these things can be overwhelmingly stressful.
Scientific research and real-life experience tell us that the #1 antidote to stress is authentic, trusted relationships.
So that's why I
am committed to building and maintaining a trusted space.
This is a trusted space.
Access free films and resources to build trusted spaces in your schools and communities at atrustedspace.org.
Reach your fitness goals in 2024 with the 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. I'm thrilled that you're with us. Hope you're enjoying this spectacular Saturday afternoon. It's supposed to be a fall afternoon. I'll tell you what, it sure as hell feels like summer out there to me. It's hot out there, but hope you're enjoying your weekend. Hope it got off to a great start. Hope you got to exercise your Second Amendment freedoms here so far today. Or if you're just watching college football, hey, I'm not mad at you. I understand. I plan to do that when I get home. I'm excited. I know you don't tune into the Gun Guy Show to listen to college football discussion, but IU is a 3.5-point favorite against UCLA in the Rose Bowl in California. That just shows you how impressed people are with the first couple of games the Hoosiers had, although not against what I would call top flight competition. And certainly not like a Pac-10 team like you're looking at UCLA. So that'll be fun. Man, if you're a Purdue fan, rooting for them against Notre Dame, checking that score, I feel a little bad for you. Purdue, it's not even halftime yet. They're down 28-0. And I'll tell you what, Purdue was getting, I think, 7.5 points at home against Notre Dame after Notre Dame got waxed last weekend by Texas at Notre Dame. And so I saw that 7.5 points, and I thought, gosh, I'm kind of tempted to take Purdue in the points. But, to paraphrase a vice presidential candidate several years ago, I've met Jason Hammer, and I'm no Jason Hammer when it comes to making bets on sports in general, college football in particular. And so I don't bet a lot. I'm not much of a gambler. But glad I didn't make that one because at least so far in that game, I would not be faring well. But hey, more to what you actually do tune in to the Gun Guy Show for, a discussion of Second Amendment rights. Something very significant happened relative to your Second Amendment rights and my Second Amendment rights. Something very, very significant happened 20 years ago yesterday. 20 years ago yesterday. And I want to know if anybody out there knows what this is. I'll tell you what, for the first caller, because we're not going to delay this a bunch. First caller at 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. First caller, call me and tell me what happened 20 years ago today that's significant for your Second Amendment rights. And then I'll get on with it. But this is, and by the way, what do you get? Let's see. I will send you 2 tickets and a parking pass. I'll send you 2 VIP passes and a parking pass to the Indy 1500 Gun and Blade Show, what we've always called the Gun and Knife Show. And that's not till, I think, the first weekend in November. I think it's November 1st through the 3rd is the next one. But I will send you free of charge. And the park held just the parking pass is what? They charge you, what, 10 or 15 bucks to park out there now? Plus the actual passes, I'll send you 2 of them. So I don't have them in hand yet. I usually get those a week or 2 before the show. But we will keep your name. I'll put it in my phone. And you can win those passes. Let's go to the phone lines. And Kelly has called in. Kelly, what happened 20 years ago today that's significant for 2A rights? Kelly, you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. I'm taking a stab at this, and no, I didn't open up another tab on my laptop here. I'm going to take a guess that the quote-unquote assault weapons ban ended 20 years ago.
You know, this is not just Kelly. This is Kelly in Avon, who's also co-legislative affairs director at the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. So I should not be surprised, Kelly, that you nailed that. You sat there and said, okay, it's 2024, did some math, 2004, what happened in 2004 that's significant? Boom, you nailed it. Hey, congratulations, bro. I will see you, in all likelihood, I'm guessing, before November 1st. But if not, remind me, text me, call me. You've got all my numbers. And I will get you those passes and the parking pass as well, man. I'm going to be true to my word on that.
All right, outstanding.
All right, nicely
guys.
done by Kelly. Not to be surprised by that. Not only is Kelly a listener of the show, but again, co-director of legislative affairs for Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. So I'm not surprised at all. And Kelly, by the way, had no forewarning of what that question was going to be. That was just a random decision on my part to throw that out there. But yeah, so there was a quote unquote assault weapon ban in place between 94 and 04. And you hear Biden talk about this all the time. You know, Biden will say, I led the effort to ban assault weapons in 1994, and we can do it again. And we saved countless lives by passing the assault weapon ban in 94, and the damn Republicans allowed it to expire, and they've, cost us countless lives since then. Is any of that true? And does our experience, not only during the 10 years of the assault weapon ban, but either or the 20 years since, does any data, any conclusion, any observation we can come out of that to say, yeah, it's a good idea to reinstitute the so-called assault weapon ban? Well, it's something that is going to bear a lot of discussion because it's a central plank in the platform of Kamala Harris. And as much as none of us want to think about this right now, she, at least in some polls, is slightly ahead of former President Trump. So it is not out of the realm of possibility. We'll be operating, God, this is hard to contemplate, isn't it? This is hard to even wrap my head around. But operating around a president, Kamala Harris, and a vice president, Tim Walz, the old guy who out and out lied by saying that he carried a weapon of war in war, but then went on to say that war is the only place that such weapons ought to be carried. So that's clearly on his agenda. What is our experience? Because we've had one of these. And if you listen to Biden or Harris or Walz or Everytown for Gun Safety or Moms Demand Action or any number of other gun control groups, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, the assault weapon ban was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And since it expired, oh, well, Katie barred the door. People are getting murdered left and right with assault weapons. And let's peel some layers off those onions here a little bit. First of all, what was the assault weapon ban of 1994? Did it out and out ban anything such that it required people to give them up? So that's question number one. Because if you're talking about taking a weapon of war off the street, that's what we keep hearing. Again, Tim Walz wants to make sure, he's calling your rifle, my rifle, the AR-15, the AK-47. He's talking a semi-automatic rifle. And by the way, the assault weapon ban of 1994 was broader than just rifles. It also includes semi-automatic pistols and semi-automatic shotguns that have certain features. But the focus was primarily on semi-automatic rifles. And he's calling those, if they have a detachable magazine, he's calling those weapons of war. And he says his goal is to make sure war is the only place they're carried. And Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and gun control groups, they all say we need to get them off our streets. That's how we keep school children safe, is to get these weapons of war off our street. And then they say, well, we did that in 1994. Is any of that true? I think you know the answer to that. Of course, it is not true, because the so-called ban of 1994 didn't take anything off the street. It had a grandfather provision that said that any rifle or pistol or shotgun that met the definition of an assault weapon that was now being, quote-unquote, banned, that was already in private hands, in civilian hands, could stay in that person's hands. It by the way, it also regulated so-called high-capacity magazines, which were magazines that held more than 10 rounds, and that was for pistols as well. Shotguns, it referred to detachable magazines that held more than 5 rounds. And so if you remember that time, if you were a gun owner back then, there were pre-ban mags and there were post-ban mags. And pre-ban mags, let's say you had a Glock 17, and so the standard magazine for that gun held 17 rounds. Well, you bought a new one from 94 to 04. You could still buy the gun, but they could only provide you with 10-round magazines. But then you go out and you try to find pre-ban mags because you'd like to carry the full capacity of your handgun. And guess what the prices did for so-called pre-ban mags? Just exactly what you'd predict. A post-ban mag's going, I'm just going to make up these numbers if I don't remember exactly what they were back then. But let's say a post-ban mag's going for $15. Well, the pre-ban mag's going for $40. It was in that area. So you could still buy them and sell them. The guns themselves, the magazines, you could buy them and sell them as between private owners. You could not buy them from a gun store. But they took nothing off the street. And then how do they define an assault weapon? How do they define a semi-automatic pistol as an assault weapon? Or even a shotgun? Well, they did all those things. We'll talk more about what the ban did and didn't do, and then get back into the discussion of what effects it really had. And there was a study, there were more than one study. One was done by the University of Pennsylvania. The other was done by the National Institute of Justice, which is the research arm of the Department of Justice, of the government, for whatever that's worth, that came to some very specific conclusions about what effect the ban had. It's now being touted as the greatest thing since sliced bread for saving lives and reducing so-called gun violence or reducing mass shootings. But what did it really do? What did studies show? Immediately after it expired, even before it expired, studies were done. The National Institute of Justice study was done at the request of the government, a request of Congress, in order to consider on the decision of whether to renew the ban or not. Because when it was passed in 94, it had a sunset provision that said, hey, unless Congress specifically renews this, it'll expire on its own in 10 years, which is what it did September 13th, 2004, 20 years ago yesterday. The reason I threw that date out there. We're well past the quarter hour, so we're taking a break. We come back. we'll continue that discussion and continue to take your calls as we always do. 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
We assume that you have one of those kind of soaking tubs.
Oh, you're talking about like up at the Coco Motel. The Kokomo there.
The Coco Motel?
Yep.
Please tell me there's a real place called the Coco Motel.
There is, yeah. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it used to be.
How was I not notified?
How have you not stayed there?
The Coco Motel?
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder how we're still on the air?
No.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for the Indiana Gun Club. You know, the Indiana Gun Club is Indiana's premier shotgun club. It's located just on the northeast side of Indy, a little bit from Geist. It's actually it's a Fortville address, but a very convenient drive from Indy. It's my home range where I learned how to shoot sporting clays not so long ago. And then you can also shoot trap, skeet, sporting clays, or 5-stand out there, and you can learn how to do each of those things as well. Importantly, right now, you know, a lot of waterfowl hunters are looking for a new shotgun. Well, Indiana Gun Club is having a special on Benelli's. Go out there and pick up a new, and by the way, I'm a Benelli owner, big fan of Benelli's. Go out there and pick up a new Benelli. And by the way, they have their new AI, which is Advanced Impact Shotguns. Very high-tech and very cool. They have a new barrel and choke tube design, and they promise a much harder hitting impact all the way out to 30 to 60 yards, which is really an optimum distance when you're out hunting waterfowl. They've got great prices on those, and they're giving away a new Benelli a new Benelli gun case, a new soft gun case with every new Benelli shotgun and a new range back. That's a $150 value. So that's a hell of a deal to also pick up a really quality Benelli shotgun. Also have great prices on 9mm right now. I love seeing this. I love seeing these ammo prices come down. A box of 50 for $12.95. Hey, that's a nice deal. That's almost pre-COVID kind of prices. I love seeing that. That's a very reasonable price. Go out and check these guys out. Again, you can learn how to shoot sporting clays, learn how to shoot trap or skeet. If you're already a shooter, you can go out there. You don't have to be a member. You can just show up and go shoot for a very reasonable price. They're also great at hosting your event, whether it's a fundraiser or a corporate event, a team building event, whatever it might be. They can host that. They can cater it in. I've done all of that out there. They do a fabulous service. So check them out at IndianaGunClub.com. Again, that's IndianaGunClub.com.
I received a call one time, and the man said, "You probably won't call me back because I'm just a nobody." I immediately called him back. Nobody's a nobody.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I always wanted to be the lawyer who represented the little guy, the voiceless, the powerless.
I was rear-ended by a car probably doing about 50 or 55 miles an hour. My car caught on fire. I'm a paraplegic, so I couldn't get out of the car. They were struggling to get me out of the vehicle. After the accident, I gave Morgan & Morgan a call, and they understood what I was going through, and they were there to help me each step of the way. It made me feel that I had people behind my back to help me and resolve the case.
I represented him, and we did well because we get the chance to help people put their lives back together and to go on as best they can after a life-altering day. There's only one you, there's only one Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's Terry Stacy, a customer of Premier Deck Coating, and they've changed our life when it comes to saving us time and money, preparing and protecting our deck year after year. Premier Deck Coating is the ultimate deck protection, sister company of Rhino Shield, locally owned. Right now, we've got black walnuts that fall from the trees that normally used to stain the deck, but no more now that we have Premier Deck Coating. It has completely transformed our deck with their special formulated product, and it's backed by a 10-year warranty. They came in, they sanded all the walking surfaces, they repaired the damaged boards, and then they applied their Protect Deck and Railing coating, and that repels mold and moisture, and it resists scratches, and it keeps our deck looking great for years to come. They can also do fences and pergolas, too. And listen to this. Right now, they're able to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans and no payments until next year to qualified customers. Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. We love what they were able to do for us. For a free quote, visit PremierDeckCoating.com.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Now through Monday, it's our Made in the USA Labor Day sale. Lazy Boy recliners start at $3.99. Queen mattresses start at $3.99. And sofas start at $4.99. Interest-free financing available, free delivery, and cash discounts on select items. Plus, low price guarantee on Tempur-Pedic and Stearns & Foster mattresses. Sale ends Monday only at Thompson Furniture Mattress in Columbus.
It's JMV. Save 30% off herbaceous perennials, 50% off pottery, and 20% off patio furniture this week at Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 in Bargersville.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I was reading and talking at the same time, and it did not work out well. So we're talking about the assault weapon ban of 1994 that expired 20 years ago yesterday, September 13th. And it's a timely topic. It's an extremely important topic because of how often we're hearing right now. I mean, Kamala Harris doesn't ever get in front of a microphone where she doesn't say she wants to renew the assault weapon ban. And that always comes along. This was particularly true when Biden would make the same comment because he liked to take credit. He and Dianne Weinstein were two of the driving forces behind getting the thing passed back in the day. But he likes to tout it as being this incredible life-saving measure that only the evil Republicans allowed to expire. Again, it expired because it had its own sunset provision, where it expired on its own unless it was specifically renewed. So first of all, you go back and look at this and ask whether it was really even designed to actually have any effect on violent crime at all. Because first of all, you have to look at, first question, is how many so-called assault weapons, however you want to define them. And again, whenever that term gets used, there are always people out there, particularly on social media, that will say, oh, come on, define assault weapon. You know, politicians can't even define it, yet they want to ban it. Well, during the assault weapon ban of 1994, they defined it. It's a ridiculous definition, don't get me wrong, but there's a definition. And we've seen assault weapon ban bills introduced pretty much every year in the 20 years since the 94 ban expired. And they include definitions. They're long damn definitions. They include definitions. And what they do to get around the fact that a lot of these people trying to write these things don't know a lot about guns is they include a definition, but then they also including any of the following, then they'll include like 8 pages, just lists of guns by make and model. So the Wilson Combat Protector S AR-15, boom, that's an assault weapon. They just name it by make and model. And that makes it easy for them. And then they'll list these, I mean, pages of them. And then they'll say, or anything similar. But that's even an alternative to a broad general definition. But going back to 94, I remember when this thing was pending in Congress, and I remember taking a look at this, and I'm like, this is just goofy. It's laughable. Because let's look at rifles first. Again, it included some semi-automatic pistols and some semi-automatic shotguns. I mean, a lot of them. But for semi-automatic rifles, which was absolutely the focus, make no mistake, it was a semi-automatic rifle that's able to accept a detachable magazine. Okay. That includes an awful lot of rifles. But then it said, and it has 2 or more of the following features. So as you're reading this, your first thought is, well, these features that I'm about to now read about must, in the minds of these legislators, really make a rifle really particularly deadly, really particularly lethal, and that don't have any legitimate purpose. And then you start reading the list, and it's a folding or telescoping stock. What? The fact that I can make my stock longer or shorter because it telescopes in order to fit my, what we call length of pull, how long my arms are essentially. That makes it an assault weapon? Or I can fold it? Okay. I guess I can carry it easier. It's making me more convenient to own that rifle. It does nothing for the lethality. Perhaps concealability, but it's still got to have a barrel over 16 inches to be legal without NFA registration. So it's not particularly concealable even with a folding stock. So a folding or telescoping stock, okay. A pistol grip. A pistol grip? What is it about a pistol grip? A lot of people I know don't even like pistol grips. They don't feel as comfortable. They don't feel as accurate. They'd rather have a stock without a pistol grip. I know people that buy shotguns that have pistol grips on them, and they'll change the stock to remove the pistol grip because they just don't like them. I like a standard stock better, but a pistol grip, okay. I may or may not make a gun look a little scarier because it's got a pistol grip. It has nothing to do with the effectiveness, the deadliness, the lethality of that particular firearm. This one always makes me laugh. A bayonet mount. A bayonet mount? How many crimes do you hear about where somebody had a rifle and bayoneted somebody? I'm damn old. I've personally never heard of that. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just telling you that I pay attention to this stuff, and I've never heard about it. A bayonet mount? What? A flash hider or threaded barrel designed to accommodate one. So a flash hider is just exactly what it sounds like. It's something that minimizes the flash from the muzzle of your gun. That's it. It has nothing to do with the performance of the firearm. One, it helps with shooting it at night because you don't get a big flash in front of your eyes that can impact your night vision. People in the military like them because it cuts down on their visual signature in terms of people seeing where they're shooting from, particularly at night. But you still get a big old flash. It's just not as big without the flash hider. And the next one, again, another one that always makes me laugh, grenade launcher. Well, right. Yeah. Well, again, when's the last time you heard about a crime being committed with a grenade launcher? Which, by the way, if there's an actual grenade being used with it, that requires NFA regulation. And then the all-time dumbest one, the barrel shroud. It's a barrel shroud, just a little piece of metal that's over your barrel, so when your barrel gets hot, it doesn't burn you. Well, that's nice. What the hell does it have to do with making it an ultra-deadly, ultra-dangerous assault weapon? It makes no sense. It just shows you what happens when people write laws that know absolutely nothing about guns. People write gun laws with having the vaguest concept of what firearms are all about, this is the ridiculousness you get. So when you read that, when you put that all together, what effect is that likely to have? Now, by the way, the threaded barrel business was a big deal for me at the time in terms of buying a new gun, because I'm a big fan of suppressors. I'm a big fan of other muzzle devices. And like a muzzle brake, which can impact recoil in the direction that you're sending a lot of sound out. You can monitor that to some degree with a brake. Now suddenly I can't have a threaded barrel on my rifle. Well, that makes it a hell of a lot more difficult. Not impossible, but more difficult to have a suppressor or to have other muzzle devices. Again, don't have anything to do with it being an assault. So that's what we were dealing with in 1994. More importantly, what effect did that really have? It's a goofy law. It was a ridiculous law. And just like you'd expect from a goofy law, it had virtually no impact, despite the fact it's being touted now by Democrat politicians as being the end-all and be-all of how to keep school kids safe, to keep society safe, to eliminate. I'm telling you, we can stop mass shootings, we can stop school shootings if we just ban the assault weapon. That's literally what they're telling you. Is any of that true? Does any of that make sense? And does the experience from 1994 to 2004 bear that out? That's what we'll get into when we come back. In addition to taking your calls, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Hours upon hours of them telling you how great Joe Biden is, then telling you in the same speeches how screwed up things are in the country. How can both of these things be true?
Yes, we love you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. You've done so much for the country. Now get out.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Whether it's the good food or the friendly mood, you can count on Indiana to never lose when it comes to tailgating. And we want to see you at every game. That's why Hubler's got you covered with the best warranty around. So kick off the season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Choose from over 2,000 Chevys, Fords, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. All makes and models. Certified. Luxury. Even the hard-to-find ones. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and includes a 128-point vehicle inspection, plus a free Carfax history report. Keep the tradition alive, knowing Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles.
Hubler's got you covered.
Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 12 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004 to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TSY.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County's Fall Nursery headquarters.
Fox News, I'm Deborah Valentine.
A tanker truck carrying gasoline flipped and exploded, killing at least 17 people and seriously injuring 30 others in Haiti today, according to Radio Caribbees. Thousands of evacuations underway in Southern California as a precaution as wildfires rage. Los Angeles County Section Fire Chief Kenichi Balu Haskett spoke to Fox News Live.
These are remote areas, one way in, usually one highway in, one highway out.
A disturbance brewing in the Atlantic off the Carolinas may strengthen into a tropical depression. Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell reports from North Carolina.
The National Hurricane Center forecasting it has a 50-50 chance of doing so, but regardless, our Fox Forecast Center expects heavy rain to move inland across the Carolinas and into the I-95 corridor going into the middle of next week.
America's listening to Fox News.
Got several different cable news outlets and their sources reporting that home prices are actually expected to decline into 2025. And so right now you want to maximize your home sales price before this downturn with the only agent proven to sell for top dollar. That's Mark Deedle. Mitch from Martinsville's house is getting a little too big for him. He wanted to downsize. Heard about Mark on our radio show. He was able to get multiple offers within 48 hours and closed in 30 days.
And what separates Mark Deedle from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. You pick the move date, no long-term contracts. You can cancel at any time. That's what makes Mark Deedle the best. Call him today, 317-755-4232. That's 755-4232, or go to markdeedle.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdeedle.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are going to need a bigger cake.
Now through October 10th, get fast, reliable 150 megabit Xfinity internet for just $30 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract with free Wi-Fi equipment included. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with Xfinity Mobile. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless bill and an auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Again, glad you're with us and hope you're enjoying this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So we're facing really at every turn. You turn around, you turn the TV on, you see a politician, whether it's a local politician or someone running for Congress as a representative or a senator, and certainly on the presidential ticket, if they're a Democrat, they're probably strongly advocating for an assault weapon ban. And they're saying they will stop school shootings if they pass an assault weapon ban. They'll say they'll stop crime in the streets. They'll keep kids safe, quote unquote. How often do you hear that? I mean, I have people, send me literally insane messages on social media that say, well, people like you oppose an assault weapon ban, so you're responsible for every child killed in any mass shooting. I mean, how completely ludicrous is that? Particularly when you look at what the experience was from 94 to 2004. Well, again, I hate to let facts get in the way here of people's emotions, particularly when they're lashing out at someone they disagree with politically. But look at what the research said. The National Institute of Justice, at the request of the government, Congress said, we're looking at the issue of whether we should renew this assault weapon ban that's been in place now at the time almost 10 years. So tell us what effect it's had. How much impact did it have? When the report came back and said, well, the first thing you need to understand when you're looking at overall crime or overall murders, so-called assault weapons are used in an incredibly low percentage of murders historically across this country. In fact, it's less than 2%, closer to 1 to 1.5%. Now, just take that number and ask you, is that consistent with all the hysteria that we see? Oh, we're gonna eliminate school shootings. Is that true? By the way, what happened during the assault weapon ban from 94 to 04? Columbine. Columbine was the school shooting that obviously rocked the country. It was a horrific event. And a number of kids, teachers lost their lives. But an awful lot of school shooters since then, and again, I know their names. I'm not going to talk about the two shooters involved. They wanted to become famous, and to a very large degree they did, because the media frenzy over that shooting was, at the time, unprecedented. And law enforcement learned a lot. After Columbine, law enforcement, any competent, trained law enforcement agency, a school shooting, establish a perimeter and wait, call in the hostage negotiators. Oh, hell no. They learned that lesson in Columbine. That's why Uvalde is such a complete disgrace. The fact that those police officers stood around while shots rang out and kids died flies in the face of what all law enforcement's been trained to do since Columbine. Columbine happened during the assault weapon ban. We're going to stop school shootings. Really, with the worst school shootings in the U.S. history is Virginia Tech. In terms of fatalities, it was committed with 2 handguns. So it's ludicrous to say we're going to stop anything, we're going to minimize anything. Well, the study in 2004, as the assault weapon ban of 94 was about to expire, came in and said, well, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the statistics. Let's see if there's any reason to renew this thing. They came out and they said, largely because assault weapons are used in such an incredibly low number of crimes, including murders, that should it be renewed, and this is the language right out of the study, you can look it up, you can Google it, National Institute of Justice, 2004, assault weapon ban. It said if it were to be renewed, its impact would likely be, quote, too small to measure. Too small to measure, as government speak, for it had no effect whatsoever. And when you're only talking about 1.5% or so of the total number of murders, that makes perfect sense. Yet if you listen to Biden talk, it was this incredible life-saving maneuver that you had to be insane not to support renewing in 2004. You had to want dead school children. When in fact, a government research group came out and said, were you to renew this thing, its impact would be too small to measure. But that's not slowing them down today. Again, every time you hear a Democrat get in front of a microphone these days for running for office, they're talking about an assault weapon ban. Well, we'll talk more about that and take your calls as well, 317-239-9393. It's time to take a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
In Detroit, Kamala rolls out this bizarre accent.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave.
I would love it if that's how she talked in meetings. Kamala Harris goes up there sounding like Foghorn Leghorn. I'll say, somebody better turn the Fox News off the television.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for RockOp Defense Solutions. You know, RockOp Defense Solutions is a new rifle manufacturer located right here in central Indiana. They're out in Avon, and they are making some of the most high-quality fighting rifles are available to anyone. They're making them for law enforcement, but they're available to civilians as well. You're talking about folks out there with over 40 years of combined law enforcement experience that are putting that experience to bear in creating an AR platform really that's second to none. They want to be able to make some of the most high quality and best quality controlled fighting rifles available anywhere, and they wanted to make them right here in Indiana. You're talking about 100% quality control, cradle to customer, with function and reliability testing that's tested on the range. They hand-pick their parts. They hand-match their parts. That's something that really was appealing to me. They have upgrade services available. They do Cerakoting. They can do barrel threading and pin and welding, other laser engraving services. You name it, they can do it out there. But most of all, the thing I'm excited about is they're providing, again, some of the highest quality fighting rifles you're going to find anywhere. I have mine. Mine's called a Rod 15. It is a fabulous rifle. I was excited to pick it up. I've already taken it to the range. I've already zeroed the optic, and it is already, right out of the box, the most accurate AR-15 that I have. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a new home defense gun for me. I'm excited about it. Check out my friends at RockOp Defense Solutions. That's rock-opdefense.com. Located in Avon, rock-opdefense.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Terry Stacy here for Exercise Incorporated, the 20-minute once-a-week workout that's changed the lives of hundreds of Hoosiers for nearly 20 years. My boss at WIBC, David Wood, he's been a client second time around since just last fall.
I've had a big improvement in my strength and just my flexibility since starting in October. And I've lost like 12 pounds. It's like I really wasn't shooting to lose weight. It's just that I noticed the clothes were fitting differently on me. And it made me go, I wonder what I weigh now. And I jumped on and I'm like, holy cow, this is the least I have weighed in almost 10 years. It has made a big difference. I feel a lot better. I've got problems with arthritis in my shoulders and my knees. Kyle, my trainer, has really worked with me on increasing muscle around where those joints are, and it's really helped.
Try it for yourself. Exercise Inc., 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like business owner Brian.
Yeah, Galaxy was great. We have a business where a lot of the service techs are working out in the field, and they'll come in and they'll have even some mud or something on our shoes. So if we're having a meeting, I needed a flooring that could stand up to that, but still look good as an office setting.
Well, if you own a home or a business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Galaxy was great to work around our schedule. They were able to come in on a Saturday, and the job was completed over the weekend, and we were back in business, so we didn't miss a step.
Lots of styles to choose from, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and a 15-year warranty.
It's very nice looking. It's very durable. Really makes the room stand out and shine.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
Galaxy was quick to respond. They were quick to give us a solution and quick to get it completed as well. And they're going to take care of you.
Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. For 17 years, my friends at Hope Plumbing have treated homes like their very own. With local owners who care deeply about this community, they put your health and safety at the forefront of their business. That's why when I need plumbing help, no matter how big or small, I only call Hope Plumbing. They care about you and your family, which is why I believe they're the very best place to take your plumbing problems. Give them a call at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE or hopeplumbing.com.
Attention all Hoosiers, a historically important election is headed our way. The time to prepare for the election is now. Are you registered to vote? Do you have a plan to vote? The Indiana Secretary of State's office wants to remind you, registering to vote or updating your registration is fast, easy, and can be done online at indianavoters.com. You must be registered 30 days before Election Day, so get registered and get out to vote. This message is sponsored by the Indiana Secretary of State's office.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So, no great surprise, and frankly to be expected, you're going to hear liberal politicians ignore the facts, ignore the studies when they're pushing for their policies that they think may get them elected. But a couple of issues. One is, of course, we have the experience with the 10 years of the assault weapon ban that the government itself said had no effect on murders. But I also think we need to be realistic about the discussion. Because listen, an AR-15, for instance, that's just one iteration of what a liberal would call a quote-unquote assault weapon. Is that very effective at doing what it does? Yes. You can have a 30-round mag in it. You can get higher capacity drum magazines. I've seen them up to 100. Now, they're not particularly reliable. I wouldn't carry one into an armed conflict and expect it to function. But the bottom line is, again, one of the reasons I have a suppressed AR next to my bed. It's a SBR short-barreled rifle, which is I like better inside a home. I like it suppressed because it's going to be a little quieter if I need to shoot it indoors. But why do I have that gun there? Because it's effective at what it does. But I'll tell you what's something that's absolutely not true. And you hear this over and over again, that it's a high-powered rifle that's not even used in hunting because it mangles the meat. It makes the meat inedible. How many times have you heard that? You know, people say, oh, yeah, it blows a hole out. You know, they'll show up these ridiculous signs with a hole like 1.5 feet across. This is the hole, size hole in AR-15. No. And I explained this to a gun control person the other day, and they didn't believe me. Do you know why an AR-15, the most common caliber used in an AR, 5.56 or .223? You know why it's not legal for hunting in Indiana? Because it's not powerful enough to ethically and reliably take down an animal. It's not powerful enough. That's why it's not used in hunting. Tell that to a liberal someday and watch their heads explode. I'll tell you what, coming up on top of the hour, that's it for hour number 1. We'll be back for hour number 2 in just a bit. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. This is your premier gun store. Premier Arms has the experience and know-how to help the new gun buyer and the most experienced marksman. They've been in business for over 20 years and have a friendly, knowledgeable staff that wants to help you, not talk down to you. Premier Arms in Brownsburg is family-friendly, so bring the kids. All ages are welcome. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you, premierarms.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Williams, and I want to share with you the role that diabetes has had in my family. I lost my grandmother at the early age of 64 due to complications with diabetes. She was warm, generous, and a constant encouragement for me to follow my heart. Did you know that African Americans experience chronic kidney disease at a rate that's 25% higher than white Americans? And we're almost 4 times more likely to develop kidney failure. Diabetes and high blood pressure are leading causes of kidney disease, which can result in kidney failure, needing dialysis, or a kidney transplant. The good news is that you have the power to check out how well your kidneys are doing and learn ways to prevent them from failing. So go to your doctor and get yourself checked out. Visit linkmylovetv.org to learn more. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
I think we can all agree. Over the last few years, things have gotten weird.
Weird, confusing, and at times, pretty scary.
And for our kids, these things can be overwhelmingly stressful.
And can increase the risk for mental health problems as they grow.
But there's so much hope.
Scientific research and real-life experience
tell us that the #1 antidote to stress
is authentic, trusted relationships.
So that's why I.
That's why I.
That's why we.
That's why I am committed to building and maintaining a trusted space.
For the students I influence every single day.
Until schools across the country
can proudly call ourselves a trusted space.
This is 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 a trusted space.
Access free films and resources to build trusted spaces in your schools and communities at atrustedspace.org.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
The fight for the White House. I'm Deborah Valentine, Fox News. Former President Donald Trump concluding his West Coast swing with a stop in Las Vegas, Nevada. Fox's Mark Meredith recaps Las Vegas.
Former President Trump, he is just about done with his West Coast swing. He's been making stops in Arizona, California, and Nevada. This trip came just 2 days after the first, and it looks like the only debate that he had with Vice President Harris. But in this swing state, Trump is focused on really one issue overall, and that is the economy. Trump rallied his supporters here in Las Vegas, making it very clear he believes the state is in play. He told the crowd that he won the debate, even though pundits and even some Trump supporters have called his performance disastrous. The biggest applause of the night, though, came as Trump promised to expand his idea of cutting taxes for many hourly workers. Not a lot of specifics yet on how that actually worked from a governing standpoint, but it's certainly an idea that seems to be getting a lot of applause out here on the trail.
The former president recently indicated he might agree to another debate with Vice President Harris, quote, if he's in the mood for it. Meanwhile, Democratic vice presidential pick Governor Tim Walz took a jab at Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump this afternoon while campaigning in Superior, Wisconsin. The vice presidential pick referring to unrest at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, saying it should disqualify Trump from running for a second term.
Denying the election of 2020 should disqualify you from service.
Meanwhile, President Biden and Vice President Harris are set to deliver remarks at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's 2024 Phoenix Awards dinner in Washington, D.C. tonight. The Virginia plant linked to a deadly listeria outbreak has announced that it is closing its plant linked to that deadly listeria outbreak in Virginia. That from Boar's Head. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we're going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
The two now
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A fatal crash. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. IMPD is investigating after someone was killed in a crash early Saturday morning. Officers say a sedan and a moped crashed on East 34th Street, and the moped driver did not survive. At this time, they believe the car was headed west when it crossed the center line and hit the moped. That car's driver apparently tried to walk away from the scene, and officers soon learned that he was wanted. He was then arrested and taken to the hospital for a blood draw. But if you have something to say about Indiana's economy, property taxes, or abortion, the Democratic candidate for governor wants to hear from you.
Public town halls have become a regular for the Jennifer McCormick campaign, and she's added another stop to her schedule. This Monday, 6:30 p.m., the West Lafayette Public Library. If you want to discuss what brings you out to the voting booth, McCormick will be there to hear it all. You've got the latest info at McCormick4Gov.com. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And former South Bend Mayor and current Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is continuing to highlight his support for electric vehicles. He tweeted Thursday, "The global EV revolution is underway. We are helping create a national network by working with states and communities to fill in gaps and supplement what the private sector can do." The average price for gas across the state is currently $3.10 per gallon, according to GasBuddy.com. That's below the national average of $3.18. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly clear, low temperatures in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. Once again, high temperatures climbing in the mid to upper 80s. A prolonged dry stretch is likely. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Have you lost Indiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Smokey the Bear. Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
It's J&V. Save 30% off herbaceous perennials, 50% off pottery, and 20% off patio furniture this week at Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 in Bargersville.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. But you know, to me, there's almost something more ominous. Because I've been talking about the calls from Democrats, particularly Kamala Harris, and before her Joe Biden as presidential candidate anyway, and as president. The calls for an assault weapon ban. And that is impactful to a lot of us. Now, if it was exactly like the 1994 ban, does that completely send shivers up my spine? Well, it's serious gun control. And so I would oppose it with every breath in my lungs and every ounce of my energy. But in terms of its immediate impact, if it was exactly like the 94 ban, and I'm not suggesting that's exactly what it would be, but it's a model that they keep throwing out, so they seem to be in love with it. First of all, it doesn't take any guns away from anybody. And this whole idea, if we can just pass Kamala Harris's plan, the assault weapon ban, we'll eliminate mass shootings. Well, the estimated 20 million AR-15s in civilian hands in the United States. And that's a number that obviously changes all the time. A lot of the guns are being sold. It's the most commonly purchased and commonly owned rifle in America. That number often comes from industry groups. And that's a high number. 20 million of them. So you're talking about leaving those exactly where they are. If they're in a criminal's hands, hey, criminal keeps them. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, hey, criminal keeps them. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, hey, criminal keeps them. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to change. If they're in a terrorist's hands, nothing's going to chan And if they're in your hands, my hands, law-abiding citizens' hands, nothing changes. If you're following the 1994 model. Okay, so then what? Well, now we're going to ban the new sale of certain rifles, semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines. And we're coming right along with it, undoubtedly, would be a so-called high-capacity magazine ban. They usually go together. They did in 1994. But, you know, magazines aren't serialized. There's no serial number on a magazine. So, nowhere, even in states that have registration of firearms, or states that have required registration of so-called assault weapons, you can't register a magazine. At least not without a requirement that it have a serial number on it. And then a requirement that you register that serial number with some governmental group. So, how many hundreds of millions? I mean, most gun owners I know that like the AR platform rifle like I do, couldn't even tell you how many AR mags they have. Somebody asked me the other day. I don't know. I see a good sale on them. I buy more. Is that because I'm a terrorist planning a mass shooting? Of course not. It's because I use them for competition. I use them for sport. I'll use them to defend my home. I use them for training. Love them in training classes. I've taken, at least half a dozen what we call carbine classes, which includes the AR platform. And I'm going to take more. So you got hundreds and millions of those things. So those don't go anywhere. So how is it that this is going to be this remarkable achievement that somehow eliminates shootings? And it's almost like that if you listen to people advocate for these kinds of things, it really seems to come along, take these off the street. And you get these speeches being made, whether it's Tim Walz or Kamala Harris or before them Joe Biden. I think they've got him locked in the basement somewhere. But, they'll make we're going to take these off the street. There's a big cheer from the crowd. Well, no, you're not. And Kamala has even walked back what she said during the 2020 presidential campaign when she was a candidate briefly, when she exited before the Iowa caucuses without a single delegate having cast a vote for her ever. She bailed because she was polling at less than 1% among the Democrat candidates after she had just announced that she strongly favors a mandatory buyback program. What's a mandatory buyback program? Confiscation. That's the mandatory part. And you've heard me say this before if you're a frequent listener of the Gun Guy Show. How can you call that a buyback program? So the government comes out and says, all right, if you own an AR-15, you have to give it up to the government. And, oh, by the way, we're going to send you a check. So we're buying it. And they call it a buyback program. And I always chuckle at that, and I always have the same comment, which is the government's never owned my AR or any of my ARs. How the hell can you buy back something you've never owned? That makes no sense to me. But then the mandatory part, that's where it gets interesting. Mandatory. So, okay, we're going to round up all these guns. We're going to make them illegal to possess at all is the theory behind that. If you have one, you got to give it up. You got to send it to the government. We'll send you some compensation. Yes. Yeah. I'd like to know of the amount of money I have invested in some ARs. You start talking about accessories and optics that are specific to that rifle. Suppressors that are specific for that rifle. You add all that up, you give me a check for my investment, and that's not how it's going to work. It's going to be some flat number. Oh, yeah, you have one of these rifles, you get $500. Yeah. But that's not even the point. That's the least of my worries compared to the government saying it's mandatory because if you don't give it back to us, we'll come get it. That's the mandatory part. So people with guns, think about this. Think about how this would work in America. You know, right here in Indiana, I'm trying to imagine people I know, people I train with, how they'd feel about the government showing up at their house saying, we're here to take your rifle or your rifles. And then imagine some of the people in Texas and Wyoming and West Virginia and Idaho and you name it. I mean, hell, it's going to happen in every state, but there's some particular places where we're going to say, oh, the government's going to come take your rifle? Really? Really? You have any idea what that would look like? It's a scary proposition. It's a scary proposition. Listen, I don't want to shoot some person in uniform who's simply been told by their boss to come show up at my house and take my rifle. Very last thing I want to do. I don't take life of someone. Hell, in central Indiana, in where I live, it's very likely I'd know the person. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's the last thing I want to do. But do I want to just hand my freedom over to the government? Do I want to hand my Second Amendment rights over to the government? And I'm a pretty calm person in thinking about these issues. Think about some of the other folks running around this country. And how would that go? And now, of course, when Kamala is confronted directly with some of her own quotes, direct quotes, where she said during the 2020 campaign, I strongly support a mandatory buyback program, which is confiscation, make no mistake about it. Now she's walking it back. But you know why she's walking it back? Is it because she no longer believes in it? Is it because she no longer supports it? It's because she would no longer push for it, advocate for it, see it, make sure it's filed as a bill, and push for its passage once she's president, God forbid. Oh, no, it's because her advisors have gone to her and say, look, on things like gun control, don't tell people what you want to do until after you're elected. You need to do everything you can to hide your policies, your anti-fracking, your tax policies, your gun control policies. Don't get specific on any of that. It'll just cost you votes. Be as general as you can possibly be. Avoid any specific questions. And her campaign is walking it back, saying, oh, well, no, she no longer supports that. She did at one point. But then she comes out and says, well, her priorities haven't changed. Her policies generally haven't changed. But she no longer supports certain specific proposals, like mandatory buyback programs, which is, again, confiscation. Do you believe that? I mean, do you believe that? So all that's scary on a number of levels, but it's even scarier because I think it, but necessarily includes another component. We're a little past quarter hour. It's time to take a break. And I want to take your calls. And by the way, what I'm going to get into after I wrap up this so-called assault weapon discussion, when I wrap this up, I'm going to go into the next level, the next point, the next issue, which is, it's middle of September. And there are bills being written right now. There are bills that have already been written with the intent to introduce them in the next Indiana Legislative Assembly. And a whole bunch of those bills are going to have to do with your Second Amendment rights right here in Indiana. And what I really want to hear from our listeners about, because, we just heard from Kelly out in Avon, who's co-director of legislative affairs for the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. I started the 2A Project, a gun rights advocacy group right here in Indiana. And we got a bunch of members and a bunch of support. And so what I always want to take feedback on, I want to take it from 2A Project members, I want to take it from our listeners here on the Gun Guy Show, is what are you looking for in terms of laws in Indiana, a new bill in Indiana that you'd like to see passed that we don't already have? Or if there's a law that we have that you'd like to see modified, repealed, changed, what would that be? What new law, what modification, what repeals, what changes in Indiana gun law do you want to see as an Indiana gun owner? That's what we're going to talk about, hopefully the remainder of the show. So give us a call, 317-239-9393. What do you want to see? 317-239-9393. 9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
This could be one of the most consequential votes of our lifetime.
Who will be our next governor?
U.S. Senator.
Our next president? Who will represent us in the General Assembly?
You have a voice with your one vote.
Unhappy with the current state of affairs? You can do something about it.
Voting is one of our most important rights as Americans.
It's how you can stand up for your beliefs,
your values,
and for future generations.
A reminder to make your vote count on November 5th.
November 5th.
November 5th.
From WIBC
and Urban One.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our most popular classes are Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. We got another one of those coming up. This is Saturday, November 9th, so you got a little time, and there are still seats available. These always sell out. This one's at Parabellum Indoor Range and Firearms in Avon, 8217 Kingston Street, right there conveniently in Avon on the west side. Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. It's 4.5 to 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. We talk about a detailed discussion of the law of self-defense, when you can point a gun at someone, where you can and can't carry a firearm, and a whole heck of a lot more right there in one morning. Essentially, we go 9 a.m. to 1:30 to 2 p.m., so we'll get you out of there to enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Saturday, November 9th. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there for the most important 4.5 to 5 hours of legal education for the Indiana gun owner. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep, Dave's feeling it. But it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings. Powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Ends 9/22/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Are you too busy to exercise and be healthy? Hey, it's Nigel. I felt that way 6 years ago, but then I started training at Exercise Inc. You go once a week for your private 20-minute workout, right? Adopt the 9 simple habits you need to follow to change your health and lose weight, and then enjoy life because you'll be stronger. You have more energy. The program has helped me lose weight. I look better. I feel better. I've had to buy new clothes because they fit different. 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers. You show up once a week for your private 20-minute workout. Private studios, no mirrors, no music, and no spandex. Just you and your coach. Feel better. Lose some weight. Probably look better. And you might get off some of those prescription meds. Hey, those 5 locations again: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood. I go to the one in Zionsville, and now there's a new one up in Fishers. ExerciseInc.com today to sign up for a free consultation. ExerciseInc.com. One more time, that website, ExerciseInc.com. Tell them Nigel sent you.
My name is Dawn, and I'm a former Marine, and I get my health care at Veteran Health Indiana. Just this week, when I was worried about how my hand was healing, I called the patient care line, talked to a nurse, and had an appointment to see my doctor for the next day. I trust my care team, and I trust Veteran Health Indiana.
Did you or a loved one serve in the United States military? You need to learn more about the veterans' health benefits that could be available to you. Visit vacares.us. That's vacares.us. And thank you for your service.
Attention, we have some delightful news, and it's kind of a big deal. You're invited to the first WIBC Pop-Up Pickleball Social, presented by Franciscan Health at Craig Park in Greenwood, Saturday, September 28th. Sign up for the Pickleball Clinic. See your favorite personalities pick up their paddles, plus open play and kids' activities. All the details are at WIBC.com. Get in the game, but to stay out of the kitchen.
Oh, I see what you did there.
With Franciscan Health and 93 WIBC.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit DiamondsDirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's JMV. Save 30% off herbaceous perennials, 50% off pottery, and 20% off patio furniture this week at Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 in Bargersville.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
All right, we got a bunch of callers, people talking about what new gun bills, gun laws they'd like to see. So we'll go to the phone lines here when we finish this discussion. But just to wrap that up about so-called assault weapons, the thing that's scary to me is this administration has to know, if they have any brains at all, and of course that's open to debate, but if they have any brains at all, they have to know that if they would get an assault weapon ban through Congress, which again, I look at as unlikely, but not completely impossible. Again, it happened once. That the Supreme Court would hold it to be unconstitutional. And why is that? Why do we say that? Well, the Heller decision from 2008 said that those arms covered by the Second Amendment, in terms of U.S. citizens having a right to bear them, are those commonly used for lawful purposes. And so-called assault weapons, again, I always want to put so-called in front of that because it's a political term, but that's the term we're stuck with because we keep talking about assault weapon ban this and assault weapon ban that. But the firearms they're talking about are the most commonly owned firearms in America, or certainly the most commonly owned rifles in America. Hell, AOC made the case for that. She was interrogating the Secret Service director and said, "What's the range of an AR-15? And the person kind of hemmed and hawed. And I think AOC even supplied the answer. Well, isn't it like 200 to 300 yards? Well, yeah, probably sounds about right. Well, why would you not establish a security perimeter that included all distances within the range of the most commonly owned rifle in America? That's what AOC called it. So it's clearly covered by the Second Amendment, even according to our beloved AOC. And listen, some states have passed assault weapon bans. And I'm a little disappointed the Supreme Court hasn't taken any of these. I was hoping they were going to take the Illinois ban. And the lower courts, Seventh Circuit, which actually covers Indiana as well, said, well, no, you can ban these. And they took some language out of the Heller decision that talks about dangerous and unusual firearms or firearms most useful for military service. And it said machine guns and the like. And so the Seventh Circuit jumped on that at the urging of the gun control proponents in the state of Illinois and said, aha, well, an AR-15 is like a machine gun. Look, it looks just like an M4. It looks just like an M16. And it functions exactly the same, except, well, okay, it's semi-automatic. It's not automatic, but it's still like that. And the Supreme Court says we can ban that. But I'll tell you what, the Supreme Court since then has blown that out of the water too, in my mind. Because what have they said? In the bump stock case, remember in the bump stock ATF regulation, where at the urging of then President Trump, ATF banned bump stocks after a bump stock was allegedly used in the Las Vegas shooting that we still know virtually nothing about, which is not okay. But after ATF banned them, eventually that wound up just this year, went up to the Supreme Court of the United States. In fact, I've had, I believe it's Michael Cargill is the name of the gentleman who won that case, challenged the bump stock ban. And the Supreme Court there said, well, you know what, the ATF's rationalization for saying they can ban bump stocks is because, well, machine guns are regulated, and bump stocks make a gun shoot really fast. So it's kind of sort of like a machine gun, so it's really a machine gun, and we're going to regulate it like machine guns. And the Supreme Court got all technical. I did not expect to see this, but they got all technical. I mean, they were diagrams in the Supreme Court opinion, looking at trigger mechanisms and talking about sears and trigger springs, and it was just really interesting. And auto sears, and it was like, here's what makes an automatic. Here's how a semi-automatic's different. They're completely different. They operate differently. And with a semi-automatic, you only get one shot per operation of the trigger. That's not a machine gun. So the Supreme Court went through all this time and effort in detail to explain why a semi-automatic, even if it shoots really fast with the aid of a bump stock, is not a machine gun. It's not the same. It's significantly different, and the ATF can't regulate a semi-automatic firearm by banning bump stocks attached to semi-automatic firearms the same way that it regulates machine guns. So the Supreme Court has come out and said, no, these are completely different. That just blows away the rationale of a decision like the Seventh Circuit upholding the Illinois assault weapon ban that says, well, they're kind of sort of like machine guns, so we ought to be able to ban them. I don't think Supreme Court precedent through the bump stock decision would allow that. So what I mentioned is there's something scary about all of this, and here's what doesn't get discussed a lot, but what I truly believe in my heart of hearts is I think this administration, those people, whether it's Kamala or Tim Walz or people in Congress that are pushing for a so-called assault weapon ban, I think they know this Supreme Court would never uphold it. They would reverse it. I think they'd reverse it quickly, especially if it's a national act passed by Congress. I think that goes up to SCOTUS really, really fast, and I think it gets overturned. But I think, as dumb as they are, I think they're smart enough to know that, which is why I think any so-called assault weapon ban, if it has any chance whatsoever of passing, would also come with a really legitimate effort by these same people, that is, God forbid, a President Kamala Harris and a Harris-Walz administration. I think it would come with a very sincere effort to try to pack the Supreme Court. I think they'd try to add 3, 4, 5, or more justices, hopefully to a point in their minds, hopefully all by Kamala Harris. And hey, if they're new open positions, hey, boom, all of a sudden that conservative majority disappears. 5 or 7 additional seats. Now all of a sudden they've got their cake and they can eat it too. They've passed an assault weapon ban and they've got a Supreme Court that would likely uphold it. You know, when they're screening candidates for who Kamala would appoint. And by the way, don't take any of this discussion as me predicting she's going to win the election. I don't have any faith in polls. The little bump she's got now, again, we're not that far from the election. We're, 6 weeks? I'm not predicting that she's going to win and Trump's going to lose. But I'm saying what we need to be prepared for, we need to look for downstream is, God forbid she does win, we're going to see that assault weapon ban get introduced. And I think we're going to see a very legitimate, very sincere, not legitimate in terms of legal, but a very sincere effort to pack the Supreme Court so they can uphold it, as well as institute new policies, reverse some things. Do they want Roe v. Wade back? You bet they do. Would they try to do that by packing the Supreme Court? You know they would. I think that's all going to come together. All right, we're taking a break at the bottom of the hour. We come back, we're going to go right to the phone lines, and we're going to take people's calls on what they'd like to see in terms of new gun-related laws in this next General Assembly. The session actually starts in January, but listen, bills are being written right now. Bills are getting filed toward the end of the year, and we'll see them, and a lot of them, both pro-2A and anti-2A, they're going to affect your gun rights if they're passed. That's why we need to be talking about it right now. But hey, I want to be proactive and working on those bills we want to see passed. Look, we got constitutional carry. That was a big one in 2022. We've had a lot of other pro-2A legislation passed over the years. What do you want to see? You can still join the discussion. We got a whole half hour left. 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Fingers in the door jam.
Oh, damn!
When stepping in it. And when the backup on 465 has you stuck.
Oh, Mom, just turn on the radio.
Whoa.
Sorry, Mom.
You know the backups and ways to avoid them. And you have no problem swearing.
Traffic makes Dad say much worse.
You'll be on time.
No surprise.
Nat Bear Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coating and their transformation, like your neighbor Mike.
Well, the local company that we used first was highly recommended by people in our neighborhood. We did not know until after it didn't work on our floor. It just peeled up like a cheap suit. And so my wife says, we got to do something. And so she started looking around on the internet and she found Galaxy.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
We got Galaxy out here. They got here at about 8 o'clock in the morning and they finished up at 6 o'clock that night. Other than having a beautiful garage floor, you couldn't tell they were here. Just did a wonderful job on it.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
Still looks fantastic, and anybody that visits our house, that's all they want to talk about. I mean, they just can't believe how nice the garage floor looks.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's fall nursery headquarters.
I'm Ann Carrick. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz rallying with voters today in Superior, Wisconsin. The Democratic VP nominee speaking out against former President Trump.
He lost the election. He's trying to lie about it, and he will do so again.
Former President Trump telling Fox News Harris is far more liberal than she portrays. A stopgap bill to keep the government operating is stalled in Congress. Georgia Representative Austin Scott on Fox News Live.
Chuck Schumer simply is sitting over there in the Senate and not having a vote on any of these things, and then pointing the finger at the House saying, why don't you do your job? Well, we've done our job. We've passed several of the appropriations bills. We have passed the bill that says that you have to be a United States citizen to vote in U.S. elections.
America is listening to Fox News.
Fox, CNN, other news sources are reporting home prices are expected to decline into 2025, even after the election. Maximize your home sales price now before this downturn with the agent proven to sell for top dollar, Mark Dietel. Perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a lowball instant offer. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Tom and Kim from Sharpeville had to say about working with Mark Dietel. We were wanting to move to Florida and looking to sell our home. We wanted to sell quick with an agent who would maximize the sales price. After being approached by Mark Dietel's team, we knew they were right for us. It was incredible. Mark sold our home on the first day at full price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to My Computer Career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Can you hear me?
So can your customers. Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now. Get results with Radio 1.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And as I mentioned, we're coming up on a new legislative session in Indiana. Bills are being written right now. If we've got ideas for Pro 2A legislation, we always play every legislative session. It's the reason I formed the 2A project. Every session, we play offense and we play defense. So defense, are we going to see an assault ban, introduced right here in Indiana? You bet we will. Do I think it'll get out of committee? Do I think it'll get a vote? Do I think it'll pass? No. But we'll see them introduced. And we'll see some other things than we have in the past that even some Republicans will look at and say, hey, wait a minute, why isn't this a pretty good idea? And then we have to explain to them why it's not a good idea in terms of playing defense. Then playing offense, there are always Pro 2A bills that we also want to have filed. I've written, I think it's 9 now, either an amendment to a current law or a new law that have all become the law of the state of Indiana. I've written some others, haven't gotten passed yet, and I'm not done yet. So we'll get into those time permitting. But in the meantime, I want to get your ideas. So Tim has called in. Tim, you got an idea for a new bill we can introduce here in Indiana?
Well, I think we need to expand on the castle doctrine.
Okay.
Think,
how would you change it?
Well, what I would do is I'd add on your property as well. I mean, I know the home is the primary concern of your garage or your dwelling, but what about your property? You got people coming up on your property, and you can't go out there waving a gun around, but you want them off your property. Call the cops. It's 20 minutes minimum. So what do you do in that situation? I think that needs to be expanded, at least what I've read in the law so far. There's a lot of question on your property, not covering your property on the inside your home or what have you.
Well, yeah, the castle doctrine, and I think you're dead on is with what you're saying, Tim, really covers inside your home, and what it does is it allows you to use deadly force to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling. Now, it does include your curtilage, quote unquote. Curtilage is the area outside your home where you have an expectation of privacy, especially if you've taken some effort to shield it from observation by passersby, if you've added some security to enhance your level of privacy in that area. It helps if it's within a fence that you've put up. Does that mean your whole property, as you're talking about, is your curtilage? No, absolutely not. The issue with this kind of a bill that you're talking about, that you want to extend castle doctrine, let's say, to your whole property, all the land that you own. Essentially, what you're doing is you're making trespassing subject to the death penalty. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to sound like I'm being negative. I'm just talking about how it would get spun in the legislature. That, somebody comes on the wrong property because they've got an address screwed up, and they get shot because they're illegally on someone's property, that kind of thing. So, I can understand wanting to expand this concept of curtilage, that is area outside your home where you have an expectation of privacy. Like right now, the example I always give in my gun law class, that what meets that right now would be like your screened-in porch. That probably is going to be covered. We don't have a case that defines it exactly, but I think that would be defined as your curtilage. Beyond that, your whole yard, If you're a farmer, all your lands, all your fields, being allowed to use deadly force, because the whole idea, Tim, of the Castle Doctrine is the idea that if someone's actually trying to break into your house, you're entitled to assume they're there to do you harm. They're breaking into your house, for crying out loud, that your house is your castle. If they're breaking into your house, you don't have the same standard as you do outside your home, which is you have to fear serious bodily injury or death. You have to believe that deadly force is preventing serious bodily injury or death, or preventing what's called the commission of a forcible felony. And that's what you have to do outside your home. But inside your home, you don't have to fear serious bodily injury or death. You can just assume someone breaking into your house is there to do you harm, do your family harm, and you can use deadly force to prevent that or terminate it. That doesn't really apply to your whole property. The same policy doesn't really apply. And listen, I'm not saying there's not something we can do there, but I'm saying it'd be a tough row to hoe, because I'll guarantee you, even some Republicans would come out and say, you're making trespassing subject to the death penalty here if we pass this thing. And not to mention the anti-2A people. They'd be going, oh, look at these bloodthirsty rednecks who want to shoot somebody who just wanders onto their property by mistake. I'm not trying to shoot holes in the proposal. I'm just telling you realistically what kind of challenges it would face. Talk to Dana. Dana has called in. Dana, what a new idea?
Yeah, I do. You called it right for the other guy, because that kind of caught me off guard. I think that parents should be held accountable for any child that brings a gun to school. Any child that shoots at a school, the parent should be held totally 100% liable criminally for providing and allowing access to guns for students. I don't have any confidence in the Supreme Court. I think they're ethically compromised. So they are not a good resource, in my personal opinion, for having good thought process around protecting the people. I do believe in guns. I don't believe in weapons of war, if whatever the words are that you guys were using earlier.
Yeah,
so
understood. Understood. Well, Dana, let me ask you a question about your idea about making parents responsible, because there's clearly a move toward this. We had parents in Michigan get prosecuted after their kid, who they knew was a danger, took a gun to school and committed a mass shooting. The parents in Georgia of this most recent school shooting are being prosecuted, even for second-degree murder. But let me tell you what the law is in Indiana. Let me tell you about a law in Indiana, and then see if you think this is enough or we ought to take it further. There's a law in Indiana that says if a parent allows a child to possess a firearm with knowledge that it's probable the child intends to commit a felony with that firearm, then the parent has committed a level 5 felony, which is a fairly significant level of crime. So that law is on the books in Indiana already. Do you think that's enough, or is that something you think we need to enhance?
I mean, to me, if they have knowledge that their child has some sort of psychological, because that it just says that they have knowledge that they're going to commit a crime. It doesn't mean do you have knowledge that your child has some kind of psychological issue. So I don't know if those are two different things, or it could be added to enhance. It just, to me, is concerning that parents would allow unfettered access to guns for children who they know there's a psychological issue with that child. I mean, so that concerns me.
There you go, Dana. Well, listen, I understand where you're coming from on that point. And yeah, I mean, Indiana's law, one thing I like about it is it doesn't just say, hey, look, any kid that gets a hold of a gun, his parents' gun, the parents are automatically responsible for that kid obtaining that gun. There are kids that are trained on gun safety. There are kids that are, that are state trap and skeet champions. There are kids out there that parents don't have any reason to believe are going to be a danger with a gun. And if that kid, totally against his character and totally a surprise to everybody, would take that gun to school, with the parents of no knowledge of that likelihood, of that probability, of that intention whatsoever, they go to jail in that situation. That's where the libertarian in me kicks in a little bit. I'm not so sure. But listen, we're going to come back and take as many more calls as we can. We're going to have a somewhat short last section here on the Gun Guy Show. We'll come back and we'll go to those folks that have called in already and take as many as we can. And I'll tell you what, I think I'll probably stop responding so much and just listen to people voice their opinion on what they want to see, and we'll leave it at that. So we'll be able to get in more callers that way. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
We assume that you have one of those kind of soaking tubs.
Oh, you're talking about like up at the Coco Motel. The Kokomo there.
The Coco Motel?
Yep.
Please tell me there's a real place called the Coco Motel.
There is, yeah. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it used to be.
How was I not notified?
How have you not stayed there?
The Coco Motel?
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder how we're still on the air?
No.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Rock-Op Defense Solutions. You know, a couple of friends of mine, longtime law enforcement officers, have started a new rifle company located right in Avon, and their goal is to make some of the most high-quality fighting rifles available on the market today. And I'll tell you what, in my mind, they've absolutely succeeded. I know because I own one. I own a Rod 15. And it's a beautiful rifle. It's expertly made. They used hand-matched parts. They do a lot of quality control that just doesn't happen with a lot of other, even high-end manufacturers. My gun is absolutely accurate, absolutely reliable. I love it already, and I've only owned it for a month or so, and I can't wait to take it back to the range. This is Rock-Op Defense Solutions. They also have Cerakoting and other upgrade services available. You can check them out for your home defense needs, particularly if you're looking for an absolutely top-notch, high-end fighting rifle. Talk to my friends at Rock-Op Defense Solutions. Their website is rock-opdefense.com. That's rock-opdefense.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Fall in Indy, and if you hate the paint, do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
After having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Now get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price. Plus, there's more great news. Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer no payments until 2026 for qualified buyers.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield and recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield Shane Smith.
Call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint. Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Whether it's the good food or the friendly mood, you can count on Indiana to never lose when it comes to tailgating. And we want to see you at every game. That's why Hubler's got you covered with the best warranty around. So kick off the season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Choose from over 2,000 Chevys, Fords, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. All makes and models. Certified. Luxury. Even the hard-to-find ones. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and includes a 128-point vehicle inspection, plus a free Carfax history report. Keep the tradition alive, knowing Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles.
Hubler's got you covered.
Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 12 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Technology Recyclers is Indiana's best choice for computer and electronics recycling. A Hoosier veteran-owned company, Technology Recyclers is R2, Rios, and MAID certified, 100% landfill-free, and always guaretees complete data destruction. And you can expect free business pickups anywhere in Indiana at tech-recyclers.com or call 1-800-237-3887. Technology Recyclers, the official sponsors of tomorrow. That's tech-recyclers.com for a stress-free experience in recycling.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that when you need plumbing help, call who I call, my friends at Hope Plumbing. During the month of September, Hope will take $100 off a $500 or more plumbing service. Sounds like a fantastic deal to me. So if you notice a water leak, a clogged drain, or have any other plumbing needs, big or small, Hope Plumbing can fix them all. Hope Plumbing, 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment here of the Gun Guy Show. It's going to be kind of a short one, but we're going to spend the whole time listening to people's ideas for what they want to see in terms of new gun laws. Let's go to Bill. Bill, what you got for us?
Hey, you was talking about what would happen if, that law enforcement would come to your house and try to take your gun, and I thought it had already happened.
Yeah, we have a red flag law here in Indiana, if that's what you mean. That if
No, I thought during Katrina, they went door to door and took people's guns away.
Oh, because of the so-called emergency. Well, there's that law has been changed at the federal level, and we have a law that would prevent that in Indiana. So we've got that covered. They can't come seize guns just because there's a state of emergency. That's been addressed at both the federal and the state level.
Okay, that's good.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Bill. Let's go back to the phone lines. Terry's got an idea, I think, about constitutional carry.
No, Guy, it's more about the curtilage and the castle doctrine. I own a farm, and the same thing as Tim, the first caller there. I've got wondered, how far out away from my premises am I, protected? I spend 90% of my time in the barns, which is 100 yards away.
Yeah, no, I think the best rule to have, and I cover this in my gun law class, is that if you're not actually in your home, in order to use deadly force against someone, Terry, is you need to fear that serious bodily injury or death. You're preventing serious bodily injury to you or another person. That's what you need to rely on if you're not actually in your home. That's why the law exists today. And we've already had one caller that wants to expand on that. I'll tell you, we've got time for at least one more. Eric has got a proposed law change. Eric, what you got?
On the grand jury system, I would change it so that the prosecutor has to lay out everything, pro and con, cannot cherry pick, cannot flip anything out of order, so that the grand jury, before they saddle somebody with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal debt, will be able to make an honest assessment.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the grand jury, I've been reading grand jury transcripts for quite a while just recently, and they are totally one-sided. Tell you what, that's it for this week's edition of the Gun Guy Show. If you didn't get through, call back next week. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
High five. Up top. Heck yeah.
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.